Raise your hand if you created an email sequence way back in 2020 and then forgot that it existed until you went back a couple of weeks ago to check on it and realized that people are still engaging with it. So I've been reviving my 11-year-old blog that makes $8 a day. And part of that was going back to check on the email list that I had started way back in 2013 and see what was going on with it. And what I discovered is going on with it is people are still joining it. They are still getting emails from me because I created an automated sequence, and they're opening the emails. They're clicking things. So I needed to take a really close look at that. And that's what we are going to look at today. So here's the statistics. That sequence, it's getting a 46% open rate. Decent. It's getting a 14% click-through rate. Also very decent. So when I saw those numbers, I was like, I need to investigate further. Like, first of all, I don't remember what I wrote in those emails. What's even in there? Second of all, what's going on with these stats? Like, really? 46% open and 14% click-through? That's not terrible. Why am I not making any money? Because I can guarantee you, if I were making money from the email sequence, I would have remembered that a long time ago, but I am not. So I dove in to figure out what exactly is going on here. So these are the 3 emails, okay? The first one is delivery of the printables that they have been promised because they signed up for the email list. So this is what they're opting into. It's 3 very low value printables. They're just cute sayings on a cute background. Nothing crazy at all. But people are opening. 78% of the people that signed up for those printables are opening it, and 56% of those people are also clicking, which means they want their printables. So, okay, that's cool. Wonderful, right? Next email is this, are you crafty or are you a crafter? And it's basically like, are you actually making things or are you just saving them to a Pinterest board? That's kind of the gist of the email. And this one is getting a 40% open rate, 7% click-through rate. Not quite what I would be looking for a click-through rate. So that needed to be looked into further. This third email is getting a almost 38% open rate, and it's 3% click-through rate. So a little bit better. But the problem is this email is the email where I would stand to make a little bit of money. So that needs to be looked at too. You know, what can we do to improve that click-through rate? The opens are decent, but obviously you always want to make them better. So anything we can do for that as well would be helpful. So that first email is fine. It's doing its job. It's delivering the freebie and people are opening it and they're clicking on it. I'm happy with that. I don't think there's really too much to change. The second email is someplace that I wanted to take a closer look because that click-through rate at 7% is just way too low. So here is the actual email, okay? I made 2 small changes to this. I haven't had enough time yet since I changed it to see if it's really making a difference. But I want to show you the 2 small changes that I made to hopefully increase that click-through rate, okay? So the first thing that I did was very simple. I'm right here. Let people know that there's a link at the bottom for them to click on and let them know specifically what will happen if they do click on it. The link is just bringing them back to my site to a craft tutorial. Now, the idea behind this first change is that if they are aware closer to the beginning of the email that there is something for them to do at the end of the email that might bring some value to their lives, then it's good for them to know that earlier so that they will actually either scroll right down to the bottom and click or finish reading through and click through. And the second small change that I made is I did add a link referencing the affiliate program that I'm promoting with this email sequence. I talk more about it in the next email, but this is kind of a way for them to potentially click on it. It's there if they want to, but it's not really specifically a salesy email. But it's also just introducing the idea to them and letting them know that, hey, tomorrow I'm going to tell you about this other thing. So it leaves them with that little bit of an open loop that I can close tomorrow. So we'll see. It's going to take a little bit of time before we see if these 2 small changes are going to make any difference, but they're changed. So we'll see. The next email needed a lot more help. We'll take a look at that. All right. Email 3, 40% open rate, 3.3% click-through rate. Not really much buying happening. This is an email that is meant to sell the subscription service that I'm an affiliate for. It's a craft subscription. You basically get access to all kinds of tutorials from artists and you can learn a million awesome things. Like, I really love this subscription and I love offering it to my audience. I just wish that they were buying it. But one of the best things you can do to fix your copy is to just allow some time and space between when you wrote it and when you go to read it again. Because when I read this email that I wrote for this affiliate product, I understand where I was coming from, but I also can very clearly see where I was wrong. So let's take a look at the email. And specifically what I want to look at is how I took the wrong tone with this. Okay, so we don't even need to look at the whole email. We're going to look at the beginning at least. And I'm going to face the embarrassment of reading some of this to you, okay? So crafting originally back in the olden days was about purpose and usefulness. It's why it's separated from arts and crafts. The crafts contributed to the home. Quilts were for warmth, candles were for light, clay was for making bowls or something. I mean, I'm not an expert on what the pioneers used to make stuff, but I do know they made stuff they used. That's the point I'm trying to make. So there is some part of us passed on from our ancestors that feels profoundly guilty about all the stuff that is in that craft room that we have not used. Okay, so I've already lost, I hope I haven't lost you, but I've definitely lost my audience. Like, what is the point of this information? Nobody cares about this. This is not a product that you need like an emotional connection. Like, this was the wrong connection to make. We are trying to like connect back to our ancestors when we make little birds or paint little paintings or whatever we're going to do. We're just trying to make cute stuff. I'm overcomplicating this with this email. Completely, utterly overcomplicated. I don't think anybody probably finished reading most of this email. It doesn't grab you. You know, it's a cute story and I get to exercise my writing skills, I guess, a little bit, but I overdid it for sure. So this email got a lot of changes and we're going to take a quick look at those too. So with the rewrite of this email, the focus is more on that outcome that my people are probably looking for, which is more just, I want to make something cute. I want to learn how to make something that I feel proud to hang up. I want to make something that I like. That's it. Like, I want to make something pretty, basically, is what we're looking for. So that's basically the story that I'm going with this new revised email. And by story, I'm doing that in a couple of different ways. I'm obviously doing it written, but I've also made sure to do more of a visual story where I'm showing a before and after. Like, this is how I was when I first started trying to make these line drawings. And then this is where I ended after taking the classes from Creative Bug. That kind of visual storytelling, if you are in a visual niche, is going to do way more selling for you than probably your words will ever do, because that's what they're like. This is what they're looking for. I want to go from not being very good at this to being much better at it. So that's the beginning of the email. And then I talk about, like, I have another picture with another after, and I talk about, I made this and I'm hanging it in my office. Like, I got the joy of creating something and now it's hanging behind me somewhere. You can't see it right now because the background's blurred, but I do have this picture hanging. And so that's, again, another visual representation and text representation of what they're looking for. I want to make something that I'm proud of, that I can hang in my home, that I can show off to people. Like, that's the outcome that we're looking for generally when we craft. And then with the last part of the email, I'm talking a little bit more specifically about the subscription service, Creative Bug. I give a little insider peek at what it's like before they go on to clicking the link, and just focus a tiny bit on some of the features of Creative Bug. And then I have the link for them to click. So that's the new email. I think it's a lot better. I think it's going to hold attention a lot better. It's got more of a focus on that outcome that people are actually looking for. I want to make stuff. I want to make stuff that I'm proud of. I strayed way too far from that with that first iteration of the email. But the great thing about emails, we can just fix it. Now it's fixed. So we'll see. It's going to take some time for me to see what the results of these changes to these two emails are going to be like. But obviously I will update you. But the big takeaway here is go back and read the copy that you've written. Is it really hitting the mark when it comes to that specific outcome that your audience wants? Are you going overboard with that emotion in the copy, or are you going underboard with the emotion in that copy? Depending on what you're trying to sell, you could do either. For me with the crafts, I went overboard. Like, it was silly. Like, that, having that tie back to your ancestors is not what people were interested. That's not why people are crafting. They just want to make cute stuff. And again, time and space from when you've written that copy is going to be so helpful when you go back and look at it. Because I know when I wrote these emails in 2020, I thought they were fantastic. I know I thought that, or I would not have published them. But here I am 4 years later, like, what on earth were you doing? Don't wait 4 years. Go back and look at your own and see what you think. What tweaks can you make to your email or whatever, sales pages, landing pages that might help improve things? If you want to follow along as I continue to update this 11-year-old blog that makes $8 a day, make sure you hit the subscribe button, and there's a playlist with the other videos in the series.